It just keeps getting worse and worse for Pam Bondi, hit with instant karma. And this should be a massive warning to others in the Trump regime that get fired by Donald Trump. There is a life outside of the cult, outside of the regime, and your conduct has consequences. Now, I did a video over the weekend with Harry Litman about how these United States attorneys throughout the country were rejoicing and celebrating and throwing out the photo of Bondi. And now we're learning, though, lots of powerful lawyers, lots of lawyers with the best reputations across political parties, ideologies, who saw Pam Bondi rip to shreds the Justice Department, and they are saying, look, now that you're not being protected by the Justice Department anymore, now that you're not the AG, some of the kind of norms that you can kind of dodge and duck ethics investigations or try to claim, well, I'm the active AG, you can't touch me. That's gone. You are private citizen Pam Bondi right now. And so a very prestigious group called the Lawyers Defending American Democracy, the LDAD, and coalition partners filed an ethics complaint against Pam Bondi recently. And this is their release that they put out. Lawyers Defending American Democracy and a broad coalition, including Democracy Defenders Fund, Lawyers for the Rule of Law, distinguished former judges, and prominent ethics professors and lawyers, have filed a detailed ethics complaint against Attorney General Pam Bondi in Florida, where she is admitted to practice law. The 23-page complaint seeks an investigation by the Florida Bar and sanctions for unethical conduct. The complaint alleges on Miss Bondi's first day in office, she sent a memo to all Department of Justice employees that place lawyers who work for the DOJ in an untenable position, possibly violate their own ethical obligations, or comply with her directive. The complaint focuses on 3 recent cases in which lawyers were terminated or forced to resign as a result of demands made either by Miss Bondi or a member of her senior management team. These demands would have required these lawyers to take actions that violate their own obligation to the rules of professional responsibility. The complaint identifies and explains in detail the ethical rules that were violated in each such instance. Now, as this distinguished bipartisan group filed the ethics complaint there, the Democrats are making it very clear. You need to show up for your deposition in the House of Representatives on April 14th. You were subpoenaed as Pam Bondi. You're still Pam Bondi the last time we checked, even though you don't hold the title of Attorney General. And if you made Hillary Clinton sit for your deposition, you've got to show up at this deposition that's coming up. Now, Pam Bondi doesn't really have the immunities and protections anymore that she may otherwise have been able to invoke if she was the acting Attorney General. Frankly, I didn't understand how she was going to try to wiggle out of it, even as the acting Attorney General, but she probably she could have made more arguments if she was maybe not a private citizen. I'm working on this and that. And, who knows? But I think one of the most important things that Democrats are going to be asking Pam Bondi at this deposition about her connection with the Epstein files is frankly something that isn't getting enough attention. Obviously, we want to know about the cover-up for sure. The thing that I really want to know, especially in light of our reporting last week about how Donald Trump got an opinion from the Department of Justice, an unlawful opinion, saying the Presidential Records Act doesn't apply. And it's unconstitutional, and he doesn't have to follow it, so he could just shred all of the documents. I want to know from Pam Bondi how she communicated with Donald Trump. I want to know if it was text message, encrypted apps, direct messages. I want to use her, in addition to asking all the important questions about the Epstein cover-up, which should be asked. But I would like to see one member of Congress ask the types of questions that we would call PMK or PMQ questions, person most knowledgeable. How are cabinet level people speaking with Donald Trump? What numbers does he use? And I want to build that out. I think that's something that needs to be asked. Those are more boring questions, but to me, it gives a roadmap. Now, you had Todd Blanche on Tuesday holding his first official press conference as the acting Attorney General, and he was asked, did Pam Bondi lose her job because she wasn't successful in prosecuting Trump's political foes or because she botched the cover-up of the Epstein files? Let's take a look at what he said. Let's play this clip.
Lieutenant Bondi lost her job, though, because she was not successful in that pursuit.
You read the same exact communication from the president that I did. Pam Bondi is a trusted friend of President Trump's, will remain so. And no, nobody has any idea why the Attorney General is no longer the Attorney General and I'm the acting Attorney General, except for President Trump.
That's reassuring. What about her deposition? Is the Department of Justice going to try to invoke some privilege or immunity to block her deposition on Epstein? Let's play it.
Now former Attorney General Bondi was facing a subpoena from the House Oversight Committee. Do you expect that she will comply with that, or will this administration, will the Justice Department invoke some sort of privilege to block her from testifying?
So as everybody knows, the Attorney General and I went to the House Oversight a few weeks ago. We answered every single question asked for a couple hours. What happens now that she's the former Attorney General and there's the subpoena out there is I think I'll leave to Chairman Comer and others to figure out. I don't have an answer to that.
You won't be invoking a privilege or anything.
Excuse me?
You won't invoke any kind of privilege to block her.
No, I definitely did not say that. I said I will leave it to Chairman Comer to work out with others. I just don't have an answer for you, but I'm not committing to anything. I'm just saying I don't know.
Let's bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds podcast, Talking Feds YouTube channel, and Talking Feds Substack. Harry, it's great to see you. There are consequences to actions. And I think Bondi, while, Trump maybe one day will give her a pardon soon, just like his cabinet in general, there are other consequences too from these actions. So talk to us about what you're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, she was in this kind of cocoon where it had one rule and one rule only, loyalty to Trump. Now she's in the open field, as it were, and at every turn, there really are people who have the knives out. Now, an important part, you're 100% right, Ben, about how eminent this group is that's filed the ethics complaint. What's interesting is it's just a submission of something they had filed back in June. And we got a kind of double speak from the Florida bar at the time. Were they investigating? Were they not? And I think the reason they did it so precipitously is because the comment period has now closed on this rule that Bondi herself proposed to try to keep state bars from having effective discipline against department attorneys. And I think, by the way, 99% of the comments were virulently negative about this rule, but I think everyone expects they will issue it anyway. And that's why they wanted to get the complaints in under the gun. It's actually a bit of a reminder of the first indications of what an atrocious attorney general she was. It's kind of interesting, though, because you could have said you ain't seen nothing yet, because the very worst, all the reprisal prosecutions were still to come. These were, one, the firing of Erez Ruveni, who's now a whistleblower for the great sin of telling the truth to a judge, and she specifically chastised him for not supporting Trump. And then second, the chief of the criminal division in Washington was ordered to do this EPA investigation. I can't do that. It's against the principles of prosecution. She resigned. And then finally, remember the notorious example where it was really Emile Beauvais, but the complaint says you're the boss and the ethical regulations say you're responsible. Basically forced the whole public integrity section into a room and said somebody is going to dismiss this case against Mayor Adams, essentially lie and call it not a righteous case, or I'll fire everyone. So that really it's the very first heavy-handed kind of, boot on the neck acts from Bondi that have since been superseded. So we haven't seen the last of these complaints, not by a long shot. However, they are looking at what's going to happen with this rule, as is everybody. It's a whole separate story. I'm sure we'll be covering it. In terms of the subpoena, you're 100% right. It's to Pam Bondi. And there's no specific reason. What Blanche said was always kind of a canard. Oh, well, we went there and answered questions. Not under oath, you didn't. And the Dems said outright, we don't trust Pam Bondi. We don't think what she says is right. We want her to raise her right hand. And they actually left that voluntary interview because she refused to commit to the subpoena. So there's going to be a high noon showdown for the 14th. That's next Tuesday, to see what she is going to do. So I'll just say it is of a piece. Thanks for mentioning our weekend conversation and the Pam Bondi portraits in the wastebasket. She's, now really, it's a whole new game for her. She's in the open field. She says there's some great private sector job waiting for her. She didn't even get, as did others, Alina Habba and the like, the kind of cushy landing pad within government. She's somehow going out to the private sector, but she's going to be, I think, fighting the consequences of her Faustian bargain for 14 months, breaking the law, breaking constitutional norms, not doing justice without fear or favor to placate and please Donald Trump. And now the time has come for her to face the music. And this one is just the sort of first overture of what's going to be a whole symphony of complaints against her.
Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Substack, and podcast. Everybody, go to Talking Feds YouTube, hit subscribe now. It's where I get my legal news from. Thanks, Harry. We appreciate you as always.
Thanks, Ben. Ditto.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.